Okay, how far can this go? Hopefully it's not too low, then I can stack it. Cool. Oh, wait.
You can put it on top of my laptop.
Your work laptop.
Yeah, that thing's seen some shit.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I have it up on YouTube.
My very functional title.
Whatever makes it works, it works. Okay. And then let me see how to stream. Oh, because it is streaming, but I need to give people the link. Am I doing this wrong? How am I doing this right?
Oh, I need to. No, while you do this.
Okay, let's see. This is Wi-Fi? Okay. Let me check it on YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna have to call him. Easy. My babies. Okay, so it's there. Let's see. Can you see if you can Google it on YouTube? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I keep slipping and falling.
Okay. Navigating to my nice illustration. Wow, it looked worse on there. It looked like I completely fell down. Got it. Okay, it's there, so. And does it look new? There we go. Okay, thank God. Okay, so we know it's working, and then you know it is still working. And so you send me the link, and then I can just post it on Instagram and Twitter. And I can hopefully, where is Ariel? Halfway to this side. Send you the link. Sorry, this is taking a lot longer.
No worries. The more we can put off work, The better. Sure no.
Okay. Okay, let's see.
Just gonna repeat that quick.
Okay. And then I'll post this one. And then the amount of times I've mixed up personal account to my own account. Let's see. What's the other one? I have no idea. Oh, it's because some of them are on ask also. Okay, so we have both of them up and running. This one, straight. Apologies. The delay. We're starting in, let's give it 15 minutes.
11, make a wish.
I wish I still had this card. Yes. She sees me? How does she see me? Is she looking at someone else? Shepard, are you, or, Tanon says she sees me, but I don't see her, so she's seeing someone else. Ask her where she sees you. Then I'll know. Ooh, I forgot to tag you. Oh, she sees me on the video. Oh! Oh, okay. Do we have a band? A band? A band? No, like UCSD?
Yep,
Really?
yeah.
I had no idea.
They play during like all the welcome events.
Oh, but then what do they do the rest of the year? I didn't know the band like a marching.
I feel like it's sports events, not that anybody goes to those, but.
Student concert, like high school band.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Cool. It's like that timing must be.
This only works because the other two words. Okay, and then now we need to figure out why this one's twitching. Twitch, PhD.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I only have like slips of washi tape. Okay.
Are you guys millennial or Gen Z?
Gen
Z.
It's like
It
in
depends,
yeah.
We won't know more specifically until, because there's like actual science behind this, until like a little later when they're able to see like how specifically or like exactly where like, stuff reaches and so like what differences each generation. But I think a more common, oh my God,
I'm telling you.
a more common belief is that millennials end at 2000.
What? I thought it ends at like
Because then when we move deeper than the millennial.
then like what we define as millennial change differs because it's like by generational differences. It's like when can you count like because there's people that are like in their 30s and then early 40s who are also millennials because like they are in between the cusp of like knowing what it was when certain technology developed, but so were we, but at the same time, like there's a sharp difference between us and them.
Yeah, that's the thing, like that's like a big debate in like science right now. Like people still don't really know, so like different like it difference between who you ask, like whether millennial ends at like 95 or like 2000, kind of roughly there. I think like it just like after 95 to like 95 like maybe like 05 should just be one generation itself because it's the people who live through the millennial, kind of like how that changes society.
I think it's behavioral. Like, that's where you're saying, I think, it's like, depends on how you behave. If you behave closer to like the mainstream definition of millennial type, or you behave more like Gen Z. I think it's very different. People look at the way people in my generation view the world versus the way that like college kids currently, I guess that's you guys, view the world. Sometimes it's a little different.
Yeah.
Like we don't use tea.
Attitude quote unquote lingo.
Yeah, or there's no fam going on with that generation. None of that.
But yeah, but like wow, it just like when you were about to do just try it anyway. I think also, but then like when you think about it, 2000s, that 2005, if you cut it off from there, that's pretty, they're like children.
Yeah, I got nothing. Well, then again, I'm not 1996 either. We'll see.
Because it's also like, no matter like where you look at like, people who are on like the edge of each of like two generations do like that different between it. So it's like we would be that like.
Yeah. Whoa, how old were you when the recession hit? Okay, you guys are in
We were 10 middle school.
Oh, 10?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really young.
That's really young.
That's
really young.
what is it? End of elementary school, start of elementary school.
Can we like interact with people? I don't know if there are people.
Yeah, there is a live chat on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe we can like ask questions. Because there will be a question.
These are questions. Right now. Okay. Let's see. Then I meet people 1 or 2 years younger than me, and I think there's like a difference there too. And I'm just like, I mean, like there's always generational differences, but like, I don't know. It's just like you can feel it more viscerally with certain like ages because they're just like, I think I don't know, maybe I count it by like the new memes. It's like when you know you've hit like a certain like hallmark in which you're like, what's going on?
It also depends on like some like major like celebrities or like influencers at the time. Like who's influencing like the youngest group of people right now to be who they are.
Oh yes, there is the chat right there.
Also, when you're younger, it's like before you basically solidify you as a person, the changes you've experienced is so big year by year that it's really hard to identify with people who are younger. But when you're like older, like late 20s, like actually I work with I call them kids, but they're like 23, 24.
Oh.
Some of them are actually, like I can identify with them really well, and they're 4 to 5 years younger than me. So I think it's just like when you finish growing, old age hits you, everybody starts feeling old. Enjoy your youth, guys. Trying from a wolf. Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you know too?
I don't think she's been in the future.
Oh god.
Cause like now I don't like work, it's been a glitch actually. She seems like it's everything. But she's a better bitch. I know she is currently.
Wow, that actually, my girl actually could be like consistently a lot. Yeah, but I thought I could hide. Yeah, let's see if I can. Okay, this is really bad for my knees. Stop doing that.
Move the table. Oh, no, they tied it with that metal thing.
Yeah, so you have to like shift all of them at once, and I'm like, I mean, I have to stick my hand here the whole
Are you
time.
holding her?
Okay.
Try, cause when I was trying, like trying to like get like the wire, like the chair, like hold apart.
If it doesn't work, it's okay. We like strobe leg. Every time it blinks, we like get down and disco or something. That's really my age showing, by the way.
Get down and disco.
Ooh.
That is very,
Yeah, that's not even my age. That's like my mom's age. It's cool, right? It's cool. It's cool to be old.
What was the age of disco?
80s, early 90s. Okay, you guys have to turn release.
We found Carter.
Oh my gosh, are you ready?
Do it.
Oh, that's big.
Oh my gosh, I also got us a pasta salad.
I'm glad that it's
Yeah, you guys are gonna be able to have food. You're your next group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope you like that I made it.
Yeah, I really like it. I really like it. It's awesome. Dude, your graphics, you guys' graphics. I was telling them, I'm like, dude, why did that cover up? I should have
I'm Sherry and my daughter.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
Okay, guys.
Look at all these cookies. I'm so excited.
I'm alive from this film. How we're heading into.
They were so nice to us at catering. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's what it is.
Dude, I'm gonna have that.
Yo, right? I'm like so excited. Look at all these sandwiches too.
Whoa. Where'd you guys go? Where is it?
Corner.
Yo.
It's like I need to like gently open it because I want this one.
Look at her. Way better now. Yo.
I want a cookie.
I'm glad you're alive after midterms.
I still have midterms coming.
Oh, dude.
Oh no.
I think we're just cooking.
So instead of screaming, we're just gonna be eating.
I'm going.
So I don't know why the HDMI cable is like.
Yeah, the port is also on the projector.
Yeah.
But the camera's not.
Yeah, so it's flickering. I ended up, because I couldn't, I don't know how to work your computer, so I used mine. And so we're streaming from my other computer and then projecting from.
Oh my god. It's a flash.
Oh wait, this is the old one. The new one is over there. Oh my gosh. This is a
No,
really
there
big
is a
sound.
lag on this one.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time.
Hold up. Listening to 88 Rising.
Thanks so much for being here, Ted.
Of course. Thank you for feeding me.
So we're not gonna feed you after you came down, like this is a part of our incentive.
Only reason I'm here. JK.
Whoa.
JK.
I think it's spelled the chain is
Oh, really?
I have so much fun catering. Oh my God.
So I think we're starting at 11:30. Okay, so
Okay.
6 minutes. We just have to pray that this works.
Okay, I'll set up the audio later then. God, this cookie's so satisfying. It's just like, hey, you finally made it, like, thanks.
Yeah, do you know how to fix this?
That one, right?
You can just slide it.
Yeah, you can slide over. I go under and that's
Parkour.
My dog was here.
This is a really big one.
I know, I'm tired. So, if it's not doing anything, that, what if it's just like, oh,
Because I know it's that one and not this one.
maybe it's just like the cord itself being butt face.
I wonder if they have an extra one. I don't know.
We can call if you want.
When you make it here in 6 minutes.
I'm okay. I mean, I'm okay with this.
Alright.
Or nothing. I just look at my slides.
Just keep talking like, hello.
That's okay. I'm okay.
Start drawing something.
Oh, yeah.
This is a
Take notes. Let's see your notebooks. That's fine. We'll do it informal, it's cool.
Do you know if there's a
There we
tissue
go.
over there?
They're so great, oh great. You're not laughing.
We just got catering, it's all here.
Yay.
I just wanted to just
start.
It was like,
Have your job.
oh shit, oh my God.
$11.
Ooh.
Yes.
Are all your friends coming?
I did the same thing.
Look how pretty, Michelle. You're so pretty.
Only two of them so far.
Oh, yeah. Hi. I don't think it's
I only know like one eighth of what's going on in the group chat, so one is just constantly confused.
That's a mystery that you mean.
I look like you guys are like stuck into my hole.
I'm gonna get out. Get out, you get a hug.
Exit.
You're like taking one.
Michelle, I saw you sit right here. Right here.
Yeah, I saw it too. I was like,
And then I said, Michelle, wait. And then you were like, Tanan said she sees, so now I'm taking it off.
too soon.
Hello.
You guys, hello.
The closest location's probably downstairs, right? No, it should be one right here.
Okay.
Should be one
Someone
somewhere.
monitor what we're
I
saying.
will lose it.
I feel like I should get a tissue, but I don't know where the tissues are.
Hello, welcome to Tanan's class. Today we're gonna be learning about induction.
Have we learned geometry?
Yes, I can learn geometry.
Okay,
Where is anyone have a pen? A marker?
This cookie is so satisfying.
I know.
Like, also, especially like.
Can we learn about tessellation?
Like, I just figured out
Tessellation?
like,
Yeah.
Tessellation.
Well,
There's no marker.
Well, it's right, by the way.
Try.
I really confused.
Try.
Oh my God, thank you so
The lag is just like. Is there any tissues?
No,
Are there any tissues? Is it this one?
I got this new scrunchie, it's cute.
Also, I love
Yeah, I need someone to do my car. How beautiful you are.
Oh, thank you, appreciate that.
You're too, I don't want to show my hair now.
Oh, no.
I would like to like like a baton. Okay.
So when I was like, looking at your ex, like, she really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a long one for you guys.
Thank you. It just,
Just let me know.
I need to redo it, but I don't have time or the money.
Oh, dude,
Oh my God, dude,
I don't
it's
actually
so
want to
ugly,
Instagram, but I'll do it for you.
Anyone want a baton?
Baby, she's still in school in Florida.
Hi.
I thought she's here now.
Yeah,
she's here,
but she's like busy.
No.
But didn't she go to the BTS concert?
I am laughing.
There's people talking. That's us.
It's loud.
That's us.
Michelle, have you got peanuts?
Can they see me?
Cool.
Cool.
You're cold.
Oh my God, I love your boots.
Oh, thank you.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
Girl, thank you. I like your glasses.
Oh my gosh, thanks. I'm such a sucker for like, what to do this?
You know, I'm really into these kind of boots too.
I will get.
Please don't like end up in the hospital.
Yes. I'm gonna get this one.
Okay. Hi, I'm just trying to get a picture of you guys. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Hello.
I didn't get through all the transfers, man.
I think everyone would have to.
Why is it
Oh my god.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you.
Alright, guys, put this in.
Like, did you go to the one at UTC?
Wait, how long are we?
Great.
So that I can.
It's like totally great.
It's so cute.
I was the one who showed me.
Oh my god, this is so cute.
I went to Target, I'm like, oh,
The little baby bottles, they're so cute. I thought it came with corner baker and I love it.
side.
They're so fat too.
I wanted to get the Fiji or the Evian bottles, I couldn't find any, and I'm like, ugh.
Dasani's bougie.
Gotta get the best for the best.
Don't expose me like this.
It's okay.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I
sorry.
forgot her shirt. That was.
It's alright, I think between you and Amy, you probably talk about me a little bit less.
Wait, is
Have
her
your friends
right
bring it.
now?
You're supposed to bring it.
Is she? I saw the only time I've seen her since the last
Tucked in
time
my
we saw her.
collar. So I was like, don't forget Michelle's shirt. And then I was like, oh my gosh, big sad. She's
Oh, rip.
Yeah, so.
She did it.
My friend.
Oh, you never looked?
Alright,
She's great.
Oh, I think so because I don't think Jen was mine and I was like.
Sharon's like a real man. She like fucking very old.
She's in the shower.
Because originally they wanted this to be a digital workshop, and then so.
Alright, now we need to cross it.
Go for it. Other students.
Yeah.
I have a cookie box.
Oh my god.
I dropped it like 2 times.
Oh my god.
Just throw it. It's okay.
Ah, there's a dress.
Is that the book we're far away?
Yeah. It's so pretty. Like you.
Take some Noah. Oh, yeah. Wait, what is that? That looks
Oh
like
my
it has
god, is that
caramel.
bacon?
Yeah, but that's
Wow.
Oh, is this it right here? That's
Chocolate chip mushroom.
Oh my god, you're like.
Monster cookies are so good.
Sorry, I'm not gonna keep touching your Twitter.
Alright, I'm gonna take these packing slips for receipts.
I just got so hyper, I got it.
I can't go on. I'm trying. I can't go on. Like, he's so
I'm good.
You did so much stuff. You were able like characters know that they're gonna say. That's nice, but like.
Oh, sorry, I don't know if that's.
Okay.
Hey. Hang on.
Oh, fuck, so like you.
Oh, I just want to comment.
Exposing my
You
YouTube
Michelle, you don't have to say it.
Oh, wait.
Okay, I just want to have the chat.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, that's not bakery.
Oh,
I'm so excited, bro.
Oh
I
my
feel like I'm a little
God.
drunk. Just remind you guys.
Oh my god, you're so strong.
Ugly.
Yeah, but you're the strongest.
Emotions.
Wow.
Nobody tell them.
Oh, I almost drank someone's water.
Oh, I should not put that there. I'm
No, it's not.
I'm all for that. You're a great person.
Yeah.
I love your cat, by the way.
Look, I have to go all the way to sit.
Your therapist.
I think they're so cool.
Okay.
Okay, so are we good to
Like a
start?
Final Fantasy character.
Oh, yes.
Oh, blessed pasta.
Everybody's sitting or sitting?
Oh, okay, give us 2 seconds to grab stuff and then we'll go. You're gonna get your batons.
Crotons.
Getting my crotons.
You should probably put a cookie in the back, because that's not much work.
What do you mean?
Are you guys?
I think let's get non.
She's getting strong.
And then I think we'll be okay.
I'm sorry.
To begin with.
Damn.
Okay. I don't know, I already started eating, so why not?
I just want you to
Yes.
I don't know what's going on, alright.
Since it's just you guys, I just wanted to know, like, what do you guys want to get out of this, basically?
I think for us, and I think I was talking to a lot of people for the digital workshop, is that we're trying to figure out what it means to be an illustrator online, what it means to market yourself and your brand. And particularly, maybe going to bit about production, but not really, just talk about how your personal experiences online has like kind of shaped you as an illustrator and how the best ways to navigate the web as like this new kind of digital illustrator.
Okay, I think that's what I planned for, but just wanted to make sure, just in case. So, very great title, by the way. Navigating 21st Century Illustration. I was like, oh, shoot. A little intense. Okay, so I don't know if you guys all know me. I am birdstonshire, so I do a lot of illustrations online, and I have a bit of a following, which is why I'm here to give this talk. My background, actually, I studied here in UCSD, and I studied STEM, so I didn't really do art past high school. And right now, I'm actually an analyst-ish type of thing at a finance firm, so not really illustration related, but this is my hobby, and I was able to take it somewhere and use it to get a lot of opportunities, so hopefully you guys can get something from what I went through. And so a little bit about, since we're going to talk about illustration online and how to use social media to project yourself, let's talk a little bit about branding. So I'm going to introduce my own brand and what I do specifically, and we'll probably go back to that later. So what I really like to do is, I like to draw from my childhood in China, and I like, natural things and drawing, really like anything that I find beautiful, and, my style is obviously anime, can't really change that, unfortunately. Not that I'm ashamed of it or anything, people watching online, please don't get mad at me. And I like to, so some types of illustration I like to do is, I like to do like full illustrations, I also like to do product designs, some graphic stuff, and world building and character design. And, target audience, this is a little bit more technical marketing wise, but generally, my demographic is in the late teens, early 20s, some to the late 20s, but mostly around that age. So like the cusp of millennial and Gen Z, that's what we were talking about. So you kids, but obviously I'm a little older. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. So goal of this seminar, we kind of went into it a little bit, how to really navigate illustration as a social media niche, and then develop your social media presence for a goal that you have. And if there's time at the end, either we can like dive into a person's social media to go over what we talked about. Most likely me, but if you guys want to volunteer yours, we can look into your social media account and talk about what we learned. Any questions? You guys good? All good? The food good? I didn't get it happening, just kidding.
I think someone asked what flavor were the cookies.
Oh, Levi knows sugar cookie, like butter cookie, I think for you guys, so sugar on it. Okay, so first things first. We ask ourselves, why do we want to have a social media presence? And it's like a pretty simple question right now, but really, okay, Sun Tzu is like my favorite person. He's like my favorite person ever. You guys are lucky that there's no like Sun Tzu quote like basically all over. So there's only one. Know yourself is half the battle. If you don't understand why exactly you're here, your social media presence is not gonna be very strong. So ask yourself, and understanding yourself, important. What do you want to get out of it? So for example, a lot of people would say, I want a really big social media following because I want it to help me get a job. So that will be your central goal. And part of that central goal is it has to be broad enough that if something changed in your life, I'm sure like you guys have probably gone through one large change where you thought you wanted something and now you don't. For example, maybe your major started off sounding pretty good, by the third year you're like, I don't know. So something like that. Same with your social media goal. Right now, think of something broad enough that in the future, even if something in your life changed, it would still work for you. So, for example, if like with our example, I wanted to help you get a job will work most of the time. But say like I wanted to help you get into Disney, might not, because that's very specific. And just make sure that it's something that you also want to keep working at. So a broad goal, but a short-term goal might be like, oh, I wanted to, I don't know, like get a house. But then like once you get to that, like, oh, I got a house, what do I do after? Like if I got a job, what do I do after I've reached it? Am I just gonna abandon my social media altogether, which is what some people do? Or do I want to move that goalpost past it? So what I recommend is have a very long-term goal and then have some specific short-term targets, like, oh, I want it to help me grow my professional career. The first thing I want to get out of it is I want a job. And the goal of your goal is to guide yourself through decisions. So the reason why it's very important to feel that, like, to get a central goal is because there are a lot of times, sometime in the future, you will need to make decisions between two things that are both important to you. So having something like specific guiding you will be very helpful when the time comes. It's a little like abstract right now. Do you guys want me to go into anything specific? We good? We good? We good? Okay.
I can always check what people are saying online.
Oh, I guess I have it, but I have to end the presentation. We good. I don't even know. There's more people here. It's a lot. How long is that? 30 seconds, do you think?
2 seconds.
Okay, all right. So next is how. I think this one's the one that like most people ask the most is how do you define your brand? How do you get a style? How do you blah blah? It's always how. So here it is. Building a brand, biggest thing, very important. Not a lot of people know how to do, or like some people are really good at it, but they don't really go at it consciously. It's like a subconscious thing. So we're just really just gonna define it and consciously go into it. As an artist, some of your biggest appeal is your technical skills and your style. So, which is, I would say those are kind of related. A lot of people put very conscious importance on defining a style and they put a lot of brain juice into it, but I would recommend not doing that and just like ignore the whole concept of style altogether. What you need to do is really, go into a world and find things that you would like to steal. To put it in a like weird way, there's a book called Steal Like an Artist. Have you guys? Yeah, you read it? So you know.
I read it, but I heard it.
Oh, you heard of it? Okay. So I'm gonna pretend like I wrote that book. There was no book like that. Steal Like an Artist though. So throughout antiquity and like art history, there are themes and there are techniques that are passed down throughout generations that people really find helpful. And it's the same thing here, like there might be some things that you guys really like about an artist you really admire. Feel free to take that, add it to your own arsenal of skills. There's nothing wrong with actually like seeing the way somebody do something, like even their color palette or the way they use pencils and just taking it and try to practice and add it to your own. Once you've done that for a longer period of time from multiple sources, you will start to develop your own unique way of working art specifically. And do it a lot, like study a lot, go out into the world, experience the world, try to figure out what's beautiful to you and gather all of it, like hoard it as if you're hoarding cats, basically. And then eventually you'll develop a style even without having to consciously try to go at it. Aesthetic, so that's really what you guys define your like social media. I think that's the way people kind of talk about their brand is like, oh, that's your aesthetic. But it's similarly here, like your aesthetic is something that basically attracts people to you. It could be what your Pinterest board looks like your Tumblr blog. I don't know what you kids use your Snapchat. But like you need a very well-defined aesthetic that's also very consistent. Like think of it this way. You go to KFC for like specifically KFC taste. It tastes good for you, but you also know like that's what KFC is. If you go to KFC, you want that. But if KFC every week is like, I'm gonna change the spices, it's gonna be good every time, but it's gonna be like random spice that you just like don't know where you're gonna go there for. You're not gonna go to KFC as much. Same here. Have aesthetic, define it, and stick to it because your followers will leave if you change your aesthetic. And your social presence. So this is really like your friends on social media. Make sure you find the people that you want to be associated with and you find your social circle. Because another example, so you're like a hard ass punk dude, but all your friends are like into shoujo anime. Like that's okay. We're in the 21st century. That's fine. You can do that. But if you want to market yourself, first of all, your friends are not gonna retweet your shit because they don't want your weirdo thing on their like nicely organized shoujo blog. Second of all, like you're not gonna be able to penetrate your social circle because you're surrounded by like basically a shell of just like soft feminine beauty. So same thing here. If you want to market yourself specifically to like hype beasts, you better make sure you got some like really hard ass hype beast friends. I'm trying to speak your language. Just let me live. Same thing. So find your friends, find your social media. Next. Growing your social media following. How do you do that? First of all, it's the more boring stuff, mathy stuff, analytics. Use statistics to your advantage. Basically, the point of analytics is to use like find trends and find meaning through numbers, and that comes with using like Twitter gives you a little bit of analytics, Instagram gives you a little bit, and you also use like Google Analytics for your shop and Tumblr Analytics. Even just like seeing how many views something gave you, and also like the different interactions you get, if you can connect the dots throughout your social media life and find a trend for it, then that would be very useful to you. I got a really great example earlier during practice. They don't know what I'm talking about. So, for example, when you see your analytics and you see 2 posts, one you get more interactions with, but less likes, and one you get more likes and more spread. And the one that is more likes and more spread isn't really what you're going for, but the other one is like specific to your niche, but it doesn't get a lot of likes. Okay. Is good?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know where I am. Basically, point of that is when you have already defined your goals, understand that like that is what you're gonna use to also guide your analytics. You want to make sure what you work for in combination of your analytics to go toward like the specific goal you want. You might not need a lot of likes to get a job from Disney, but you might need somebody really important to comment on your post, and you will only be able to see that trend through using analytics. Second is be genuine, be consistent. If you start off your social media being very interactive and you build a large following based on that, when you get bigger and it's harder to interact with everyone, just know that you still kind of have to keep up with it, because your followers will have followed you because they like how much you interact with other people. So just because you got busier doesn't mean that you can stop doing it, because part of your brand is consistently being your social presence on social media. And so, but if you start off just like not talking to anyone, yeah, dude, then you're fine. Low-key hint, just don't talk to anyone, because then you have to keep it up. And then lastly, take advantage of your community. Say you're a biker dude, you're really like hard ass, and then you finally found your hard ass biker circle. Make sure like you know exactly what's going on in that circle. Use all the hashtags that are trending. If a new motorcycle is released and there's a new hashtag for it, make sure to use that. Use whatever is popular specifically in your community, because that's the thing that is going to propel you and get you to reach more people. So, but it's important to use one specific subculture or the combination of subcultures you belong to, because it doesn't make sense for like an artist to tweet about like, I don't know, motorcycles. I'm gonna use that because for some weird reason, like bikers is like something I'm really into now. So like there's no reason for you to be tweeting about Harley to get a social media following if you're specifically targeting that art culture. Keep that in mind. So if it's helpful, keep 2 social media accounts, one for your hard-ass biker game and one for your art stuff. And okay, do you guys like prefer like we dive into a social media account just to see like
Yeah,
trends?
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to volunteer yours?
Oh God, no.
No?
Right.
It's okay, we'll look at my Instagram. At first I was like, oh, we can do like an artist like that you guys like. And I'm like, I don't know how many people are watching. I don't want to offend anyone, so of course.
Levi asked, it's like, speaking of goals earlier, what were your goals/milestones?
My goals and milestones. Okay. You know, actually, this is really funny. So, because this is great question, sir. Great question. Great question. Let me just put you on the spotlight for a little bit. I can't find my mouse. Okay. So when I first started social media, it was kind of like just a hobby for me. I really like marketing, so I just kind of wanted to like see where I can take it. So one of the first milestones was actually like, I just want to get a sponsored post. weirdly, yeah, that was a milestone, but overall, my goal was, I wanted to use my presence online to create a positive influence on the world. And this is where, like, when we were talking about hard decisions, when this came in, because when I was like trying to create a lot of products, there are choices I had to make where like it could be cheaper or more efficient, or even actually this product specifically, like if it's bad for the environment, even if it's popular, I chose not to make it anymore because that was important to me and that's the reason why I'm here. And even if it gave me more money or more social media following, if it's something that like ultimately is not how I want to define myself online, I just didn't want to do it. So it's very important. Like this is the kind of hard decision I had to make. And I think it just made a lot of sense for me to identify something central to myself because I see that it's very easy to lose your way and just to chase after something that might be easier and give you more like short-term gratification. Does that satisfy your questions there? Well, I think it would take a while. Right?
It was like, oh,
Cool. Okay. Cool on Instagram.
He also was like, did she just say hoarding cats?
Yes.
What was your first sponsor be?
Oh, I think it's Danny Wellington actually. I don't know if you guys know Danny Wellington. Dude, I have like 3 Danny Wellington. Dude,
Wow.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say this online because I can't petitionally say something bad about it. No, I'm wearing one of them right now. This is like, it's pretty sleek. It's
That's
good.
free
But yeah,
sponsorship.
so I just wanted to like, how does it feel to be an influencer? Once I got there, I'm like, shoot, I don't know what else to do. See, short-term goal, too short-term. Now you don't know what to do. Then make it a milestone so you can have other things to do. All right, so Instagram deep dive, great.
A lot of our artists are, because like they're across the states, but they're really interested in both your shop and your brand. So it's like, I know you talk about a lot how you drew from your roots. It's like, how did this whole brand come about, like officially on Twitter, Instagram, and like your own shop?
Sure. By the way, I lost like a lot of followers because I was inconsistent with the way I approach. Like, first of all, I used to update a lot. I'm no longer updating a lot. Second, like there's a while that I felt really disengaged from my own style because I felt like I was trying to chase that influencer, like I want that following. But once I get there, like I felt lost because that was a short-term goal that I didn't really plan ahead for. So I kind of had to redefine myself. So you see, this is what happens. If you are inconsistent and you don't plan ahead, you will fail, I guess. But yeah, don't worry. I mean, sorry. To answer your question, another thing, when you get really old, oh my white hairs, brand come about. So birdstonshire is because I like birds and I like weird British suffixes. So I just did that. There's nothing wrong with the name, but how I got really attached to this was because like I really like world building and things like that, and like in my mind I wanted to make birdstonshire kind of a place where it's like very peaceful. That along with that, I wanted to design a website where when you enter into it, it's as if you've entered into like a travel site for a place, and the people who come here can feel like a sense of peace and like just like chill happiness. So that's really the background behind this, and the shop and like things I do is because shop it's not really to make money as much as like I just want to explore ways of making products, but like in the most ethical way that I can. I don't know like if you guys are familiar with the brand Patagonia and the Yvon Chouinard. Yes, he's very influential in my life. Like I have his book in there right now actually. By the way, plug, let my people go surfing, really good. highly recommend, everyone should read it. So he started his company because there was a specific product that he felt he wanted, but nobody else was making. So he made it. And then once he started making more, he realized that people wanted his product. So he expanded to other things that's specific to his niche, which is mountaineering, that he wanted to make. And once that happened, he like at some point it turned into, I can't believe how much just destruction my product was wrecking on the environment. So he started to basically a crusade where he's just trying to make the most ethical, environmentally friendly product possible. And that snowballed into him feeling a sense of responsibility to grow his company, because the more that he's able to get market share, first of all, his influence. The bigger your company is, the more influence you have. Second is if there are people buying his product, people will start to turn up toward running the company the same way that he does. So similar here, like when I started my shop, I really just wanted to, I found that if I do things, people will follow. And if I do have that influence, I don't want to preach because like nobody wants to be talked at. But if I can make a good example of how to be ethical, at least in the most ethical way that I can possibly achieve right now, then maybe other people will follow suit. And that's really why I still do this, even though like it's really hard. It's really hard, guys. 9 to 5s, man. Don't shit on them. They're not that easy. So that's where I'm taking my brand right now. I like have been kind of disengaged, and I do want to come back to it. So hopefully sometime in the future you guys will see me update more and put out more stuff. Shorts and stuff. Anyway, so deep dive. This is like the inconsistent age. So let's go back to when there was a specific period of time I was growing my Instagram from like 30K to like 100K. And that's when I want to take you guys to. And also very important, be very mindful of Instagram trends or just like overall social media trends right now. So back then this was like the aesthetic age. You want to have very organized place settings, your like really nice, beautiful walls that you use as backdrop. But now there is an active trend turning away from that. I don't want any more 30 shots just to get the one perfect shot. I want to see exactly what you are as you are. So that's like why people like Emma Chamberlain is really popular with the younger crowd, is because every generation will rebel against the last. So if you want to do just mainstream, that's fine. You don't have to respond as fast. But if you want to be like hype beast and you want to be the most trendy, like that's your target audience, you have to be very reactive with the Instagram trends. So another thing. Man, like I'm pretty sure you can like pay people to get the most like, what's the current newest trend? But that's a little bit too intense for our sake. I think no, that's cool. It's around this time. Oh, okay. I remember this exact post. This is a post that I told myself, like during that, the posting of that is when I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna try to grow to 100K and I want my first sponsored post. So after that, you kind of see like a gradual change in the way that I do things. It used to be kind of like all over the place, like I just post digital art and then like some like coffee shop stuff or like it's still okay, but it wasn't as organized. Like if you look at it, it's not like super consistent. But after that, like especially around this period, I started seeing like, oh, people really like it when I post like a drawing with a background, like a smaller drawing, but it's kind of like aesthetic and looks like I have a really great life. So started doing that more, like pretty consistent. And this is the period where like everybody knows I do this and people will follow me specifically for this. And other people will start seeing this and try to do the same thing. Same thing, like see Portal Witch, that's I think during October is, as you can see, it's like definitely something that I try really hard to make look on the brand for a while. And then after that, still like all the colors and stuff, like the color scheme and the clean way of setting your photos. Basically very purposeful. And that's what I was doing for a while because I wanted to grow like in a very like fast, but also in a very sustained way. And then that's when I started getting a lot of sponsor posts. Like this was, I think it was like a subscription box that had me do a post for them every month. I also did like some, this one was also, I was getting a lot of subscriber boxes, I don't know, it's the thing. Do you guys do them? Do you guys get any subscription boxes?
Monthly ones?
Monthly ones, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, see? And this is another one. So, but after a while, and this is like when I started getting products and stuff, after a while you can kind of see that like, kind of getting tired of it. I don't want to always be taking pictures when I'm out, like lighting it up perfectly and like making sure it's always, like these are really, you think they are really easy and like chill because you just throw them around. No, you have to make sure it's framed in a way that you're like, as if you're framing an illustration, you have to frame your picture in a way that your eye doesn't slide off it. And like, it's dynamic, yet it like has a sense of, it's bullshit, man. So anyway, so as somebody who did that before, it's all bullshit. So like, I'm like, okay, it's cool, but like, I'm not really in it anymore. So this is the end of it. So I start updating a lot less consistently. I mean, like, I still try, but it's not really something, I'm like starting to explore different ways of doing it. So that's our deep dive for here. I don't know if you guys have any specific questions. I hope you guys got something out of it. No questions? Any questions?
I think one of the questions that came up when I was talking to artists is like, did you think about building your entire platform on a certain persona and an identity? And did you feel pressured to keep up with that?
That's what I remember I was saying, like, if you start off by talking a lot, being very social, you have to keep up with it. I started off just being kind of chill. And another thing, okay, so to answer that question, I first have to kind of tell you guys my age. I started my first DeviantArt account when I was 13. At that point, I knew nothing about this. It was DeviantArt, it was whatever. But I migrated from DeviantArt to Tumblr to whatever other thing, Twitter to Instagram to, I guess Instagram's new one. So like my journey was not so purposeful. I just started doing art because all my other friends were doing online art, but I do feel like after I hit enough followers, I do feel like pressure to be consistent with who I am online. So that's also the reason why I started withdrawing more, is that I don't want myself to be completely out there, because ultimately I want myself to be mine only, and the people who interact with me as friends, like as much as I really love my followers, hi, like once we interact with me a lot, they ended up being my friends, but I don't feel comfortable just like being completely myself on the internet. And that your mileage might vary. There are other people who like feel like, no, this is who I am, this is who I am online. And so that's in a way a lot easier because you don't ever have to put on a mask. But if you do decide to put on a mask, you have to make sure that it's on all the time when you're behind the screen.
That makes
Did I
sense.
lose any part of the question?
No.
Okay,
I think you
cool.
covered.
Are you guys on this corner? Are we good? We good? This corner, we good? That corner, we good? On the internet, we good? Oh, I guess I could look. Oh, never mind, I can't look. Nice this thing though.
How much do you spend on social media? I think that's what Levi says.
Oh.
Haha, yeah.
Good question. God damn it, okay. Usually on social media, back then when I was like actually in it, I would say like, every day I will work about 8, 9, 10 hours and maybe spend like 3 to 4 hours on social media, answering comments, planning posts, Drawing actually is on top of that. Drawing is like another different beast. So to be able to run a social, like an illustration social media account where you have to put out content and plan your social media presence, it's a lot of work. Like it's not just whatever. It's even if the people that are really good at it make it look like it's effortless, it's not. It really is not. You make sure you get the right timing. You have to figure out what analytical tools and what other, like even like just post scheduling tools to make. I'm sure when you're running the anthology, like you encounter a lot of that. There are a lot of tools out there. You have to first shuffle between all of them, see which one's good, and then use it to your advantage and just like figure out the whole sphere of social media marketing. So it's a big time sink. And if you want that to be your career, definitely be aware of that. It's not just like your Facebook page where you can just post, I'm really bored today. Not that you guys do that anymore. Snapchat, I don't know. That thing. Cool. We good? Any more questions?
I think there was like, I was talking to someone else about rebranding. For example, he found his niche in DVR, but like specifically in the game community. But right now he's trying to get a job in like illustration and other development. So maybe in the game industry, but he wants to break out of it. And like, what's the best way to sort of build his presence? Does he have to rebrand? Does he have to?
That's a really good question, actually. So I've been through 1 or 2 rebranding just because when I started, I was so young that I did some stupid shit that I just like, nah, don't look at that. When you rebrand, if you're changing demographic completely, then you might as well start with a new username. Because pretty much all your past following, the ones who are really attached to you will follow you to your new username, but the ones who are only attached to you for your previous branding or your previous niche will shed away anyway. So instead of like watching your followers account fall and getting really stressed out, get a new username that makes more sense in your niche and use that. Something more professional if you're trying to get a job, and start drawing content and creating content that are more specific to your new niche. It's a hard process, but I found that like even just through moving through different social media platforms, like through Tumblr to Instagram, your reputation, if you have built one in your old niche, it will follow you if you have the right reputation. So don't worry too much about it. All of us go through it. Don't be afraid to rebrand. Sometimes it's good to start with a mistake. All right, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You guys are free to go. Thank you for feeding me. Thank you, online. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.